This episode has been brought to you from the DGMS Studios, home of Don't Get Me Started, Lethal and Mully Live, and Surftown. Found at Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Hello and welcome to Don't Get Me Started. It's the mother of all podcasts with Keith and Lee. Hi, I'm Lee.
And I'm Keith.
Keith, I'm not going to ask you how you are today because you're looking well, you're looking fit, and I love your little stipple, mate. I love your whiskers.
Stipple?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I used to do artexing back in the UK and they had the stipple brush.
Yes.
And they were little plastic nipples or stipples. And it just reminds me of the little stipple brush.
Well, that's one way to describe it. Nipples.
Nipples, yeah, they're little plastic
So
nipples.
it's a little rough surface thing.
No, it's very soft.
Oh, is it?
And you used to press it up against the ceiling and it would give you a pattern.
Oh, yes. Well, those of you who are not in the studio and can't see me visual,
Aren't you lucky?
Lee's talking about my ever-growing whiskers that are on the verge of being a beard. What do you reckon, out of 10?
Mate, I think you look a solid 7.
7?
Yeah, it suits you.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
No, it does. Well, I'm not peeing in your pocket. You
No.
do look better, mate. You nearly had one of those Bruce Forsyth chins.
I'm glad you're not peeing in my pocket because they've all got holes in it. You can imagine what that would
Oh,
do.
it'd be terrible.
Absolutely terrible.
Now, we're fast approaching, I was talking to you today, our year. And I looked back, we weren't quite sure when we dropped the first 3 episodes. Anyway, I found it April 4th. So we've got to partay.
We do have to partay, and won't that be a wonderful occasion? You and I are moderate drinkers, almost to the point of being non-drinkers, but I reckon a couple of bottles of bubbly are in order.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I haven't touched any alcohol for 6 months now, but I think I might allow myself a bit of fun.
There you go. I'm pleased to hear that, Lee, because I'll be definitely popping a cork.
1 year.
Alone or without you.
Oh, mate, of
Alone
course.
or without you.
That sounds like a song.
Well, you know I'm dyslexic, don't you? So sometimes things get a little bit mixed up. Oh, I do have some good dyslexic news. A lot of dyslexic people like myself. I love writing things and I love reading books. I hate the game Scrabble. I hate it.
Me too.
And anyway, some beautiful brain bright spark has come up with a new game called Squibble.
Scribble.
Squibble.
Oh, squibble.
Yeah, you just put anything on it. So
Yeah,
now
doesn't matter.
dyslexics can play. Yay! Can I have a box? Although I love words. If I read a big word and I don't know it, I can't wait to go to the dictionary and find out what it is. And sometimes when I am writing, because I do a bit of writing, I get to a word and I think, what would be a synonym of that? So I go to the thesaurus. I love it. You see all these different choices. My sister's really chronic dyslexic and she doesn't bother to check everything out. She just goes, that sounds like it's okay. She always drops clangers. One day she was in a coffee shop with a bunch of friends on a weekend. They're all going out socialising. Margaret happened to like this particular coffee shop that she was in. So she sat back at ease and great contentment and she said to the little crowd that she was with, I love this place. How's its ambulance? And one of the guys in the group,
I love it.
he used to have a book, and every time Margaret dropped a clanger,
He'd write it down.
it took him a while.
Oh, that's great. How's the ambulance?
It took him a while to get this one down because he couldn't stop laughing for a couple of minutes.
Oh, that's a classic. I love that. How's the ambulance? That's amazing.
Well, strictly speaking, I'm not actually dyslexic. I think I'm dyspraxic or something like that, which means I have a problem with perception.
I'm going to have to write that word down so I can check it after.
Yeah, no, I'll look it up. But I'm not necessarily classically dyslexic. I've got this other thing, which is trying to understand perception. So A, B, C, D, there's a sequence there. And, of course, it's logical, or 2 + 2 = 4. Well, 2 + 2 = God knows what. When I was at school, it's like, what do you mean it equals 4? And how did you arrive there?
And I've been around you for a while and I've seen it. And it's not as bad as you think.
Well, it's got me into a bit of trouble over the years. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, in my middle years, I became a school teacher. While I used to do, I think I've told you this story, stop me if I have. I used to write the words up, the sentence, the directions up on the board, and I would leave off the last two words at the end of the sentence. Now, for the life of me, because I had it in my brain, those two words were up there. And the kids would put their hand up, sir, sir, sir. Yes, that sentence doesn't make sense. And I'd look at it and I'd see the complete sentence that was in my head. And it made perfect sense. I thought, what's wrong with these kids today? No, educational standards are falling, but there it is. And then I'd have to look back again and I'd see that those two words are missing. So whenever I went to the whiteboard or the blackboard and had to write a sentence, I'd have to check it two or three times before I turned around to face the kids.
It's like my wife, she goes to me, can you just finish the sentence? Because I don't finish the sentence. So if I say so, oh yeah, but so I was going down the road today. And the other thing, what? And I said, well, what was you doing going down the road? Finish it. And I do, and I find it infuriating.
I think that's common. A lot of people do that.
Oh, I just seem to do it more and more, trying to get to the end of what I'm saying. It's hard with you though, Molly. Now, I would like to say that we've had a normal week, and 9 out of 10 times we have. And we go about our business and the business gets done, and 90% of the time it's satisfactory. But this week's been a little bit of a eye-opener for you and me. So again, like I've just explained, our podcast is nearly a year old, and like all businesses, we want it to do well. We want it to thrive, and we can't do it on our own. We need other people to help us. A couple of occasions this week, I'm going to name no businesses or any names or male or female, but we've been let down, and we've exposed some people's idea of what they are pretending to be false. And the work that has been submitted or given to us has been less inferior than I could ever imagine.
Yeah, it's been very poor standard. And that particular episode that you mentioned there was very, very disappointing. We paid good money. We had good faith. We had trouble with that said service provider. Found it very difficult for that service provider to listen, to do exactly what we wanted. And we were paying, and we had paid before, always on time. In fact, within 24 hours of receiving the invoice.
Oh, yeah, that's because he billed you. It'd be a different story if it was me.
But I like having a good working relationship with the people that I'm working with. That you do things, you rely on each other. And that was the point, or the disappointing point was that we couldn't rely upon this service provider.
But it was interesting because like most things, and you and me, in the same sense, when people ask of you to do something because what you thought it to be right, it wasn't right for them. And 9 out of 10 times for me, I would say, absolutely no, not a problem. I'll get that fixed for. Very rarely, but it happened. And I'll do it. Now, what I found with this particular individual is that you sort of pressured them in a bully way, but we pressured him to get what we wanted right. And he seemed to have buckled, and then he bent, and then he collapsed, and then gone. It was incredible.
Yeah, well, what's disappointing? There's a number of things that are disappointing about that. One is that there was no collaboration. There was conflict, and it was like trying to extract teeth, get what we wanted, to get across our desire for that service provider to do what we want, to provide what we were paying for. And it was like this struggle. But if you go to that service provider's webpage where there's an advertisement saying what skills are available, I can do this, I can do that, and I'll do this and that. Turns out that this particular individual couldn't do those things.
And moving on, because there was 2 other people we contacted, different scenarios, different businesses that proclaimed to be what we were after. And again, once we got into it and started to talk to them, explain to them, they're saying, no, we don't really do that. But you're advertising to do 2, not 1, 2.
Well, at least at the beginning they said, no, we can't do it. So I'll give them a tick for that. Whereas the other person that we're speaking about strung us along the whole way, and the end product was when we took it to professionals to do the screen printing and the printing on paper, they said, look, we can't work with this. It's not the quality that commercial quality.
And then it all made sense.
Then we realised then why we're having trouble with this particular individual. But those 2 people that you were talking about advertised that they could do digital marketing, that they could do this, they could improve your business through exposure across the World Wide Web. And then when we told them exactly what we wanted, they said, oh, no, we don't do that. And you and I left wondering, well, it says here on your webpage that you do. In fact, one person said that they had a diploma. And where'd they get? Why do people do this? Why do people speak up themselves when when you reach in, it's like a dark room that's got 4 walls and you think there's a foundation in there?
And there isn't. I hope that you're enjoying the podcasts and the content that we're bringing to you each week. I want to take a moment to invite you to support the show. Your contributions help us continue creating high-quality episodes, bringing in exciting guests and exploring the topics you love. Every bit helps, whether it's a small donation or signing up for our Patreon account. By supporting us, you're not just helping keeping the lights on, you're becoming part of our community and helping us grow. To show our appreciation, we offer exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and so much more for our supporters. So if you love what we do and you want to see us thrive, please consider signing up at buzzsprout.com/Don't Get Me Started. Support the show. Thank you for being part of our journey, and let's keep the conversation going.
And you walk in and there's no foundation. There's nothing. You put your feet down, there's nothing there.
I think they're going to try to compete with the wording that's there because it's so prominent what's happening today, and you have to be part of, otherwise you get left behind. And unfortunately, we're getting left behind.
Well, and out of pocket. Who do these people fooling, really? When the acid test is on, they can't come through. So what are they trying to do? Impress people who might read their CV on LinkedIn or who happen to go to their webpage and think, oh, these people look impressive. But when you put a bit of pressure on them, they're not the real deal. So they're living in some sort of self-delusion, really.
So let's get on to the topic after we've had our little tete-a-tete with the world.
Oh, my God, the world. Jeez. No wonder people become recluses, hermits or gardeners.
It's been an unusual week because there's other things that have happened too, which we'll probably talk later on, get near the end of the year or maybe before, I don't know. But it's been one of those weeks and I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it because it challenges me. But then the topic now that you're going to come forward with, I'm thinking sounds good to me.
Yes, well, there's a number of things that happen in life that scar you or really put you into a place where you just feel deflated, like the spirit's gone out of you. Somebody's taken advantage of you or somebody has used you really badly and you're left in a bit of a dark hole. And so the topic I was thinking about was how to survive in a dog-eat-dog world, because there's a few other things that happened recently to a member of my family and he was let down really, well, he was attacked unprovoked. He had a business and this person came in and undermined his authority and ended up ripping that business out from underneath him and left him completely gutted. He lost his business, he lost his income, and he lost something of his reputation. And it left him in a very, very bad way. And of course, of talking to him over the period after that particular disaster, I said, mate, I said, in this world, you're on your own. I said, if you rely on a lot of other people, sometimes, most of the times, you're going to be let down. You're on your own. And there's not going to be too many people who are going to give you sympathy or even support you.
It's the same story. It's happened to you, it's happened to me, and it happens to a lot of people. But what it is for me is that you have to realise what you've just said. Nobody really cares. It's about themselves, which it is with us as well. Whether they're nasty, vindictive, they're narcissist with their business acumen, or they're just bad people.
Yeah.
Now, I spoke to a colleague this week who was let down on a job that was presented to him through a mutual friend. Again, I'm not going to name any names, and it shocked me. Because this guy I'm talking about is a really nice guy. But again, really nice guys, as the saying, finish last. Now, he's got a great temperament. He's a family man. He loves his family and he's a hard worker. And so he took it on board that this person was going to carry through with the work. He got all the materials and then he was brought in for a meeting. And through the actual guy and then the contact, he just sat there while the owner just said, well, why do I need this? And he was shocked. He goes, because I was told that you needed this, and this. He goes, but it works. And then he goes, yeah, but I thought that, and looking at the guy, and the guy's sitting there saying nothing. And I said to the contractor, well, didn't you speak up? Didn't you point? Didn't you say, well, it's because this is, he goes, no. Now, he wasn't going to do it because he was shocked. Secondly, he was surprised what has gone down. Thirdly, he'd given up time and money to do this job, this contract. Now, when I spoke to him about it, I said, well, you should have really just left. He should have said, well, thanks very much and go. But he didn't. And now he's working in another area for the same guy. And so I'm thinking, does he deserve it then? It's an old saying that says, don't get in the pikey's pocket. Once you're in the pikey's pocket, it's all over. Yeah. Now, I will never do that. And I suppose never say never. But thus far, I've been where you can spot them. I think getting older, you can look through all the bullshit, see through the bullshit and go, you're fake. You're doing this for your own gain. And I've had people ride my back, or no more.
Well, see, you're getting right to the heart of what we wanted to talk about here here, surviving in a dog-eat-dog world. And you also mentioned good guys come last. Well, we'll touch on that in just a minute. Out there in the world, there are people who will always look to have the advantage or come out on top wherever there's an exchange of time or service or money. They must win. And if they come across people like this contractor that you mentioned who is a soft sort of guy, a good guy, they prey upon people like that. They use them. They know that guy, when he finds out that he's not going to get the work and he's put aside time and money, he knows that contractor is not going to flare up and fight against him. And he's probably a guy who's not good at confrontation. And so he goes, oh, yeah, okay, that sucks. I don't like it, but I'll survive. Oh, next week I'll just have to work another 10 to 20 hours extra. I'll make it up. I'll be right. And so he takes it on the chin. And they suck it up all the time, these nice, soft guys. And in a sense, they do come last financially or not having the power or the advantage of the deal. But I think that in the long run, they come out of it as better people in terms of having content.
But do you think because he did show some weak, that's a good thing? I don't think it's a good thing. I think you show any weakness to these particular people, they'll exploit it.
Well, yeah, you're right. You've got to stand up not only just so that they won't exploit you, but you have to start believing in yourself. You have to have some sort of self-respect, and you have to say to that person, no, nick off. No deal, mate. I'm out of here. I'm cutting my losses. I don't want to have anything more to do with you. The old saying, once bitten, twice shy, really has to hold, because otherwise you might say, all right, I can suck it up. I'll work a little bit harder next week. But if you don't at some point have some self-respect and backbone to stand up for yourself, you'll just continually be a victim, a victim, a victim, a victim.
Absolutely. Because I think it actually takes great strength of character to be kind to these people when you find yourself surrounded by them, which I do, and they know me. They know I will go so far. Like an incident that happened, which you know about on a job, about, again, it's really hard to not say the names or anything, of a person that is annoying to the point where he thinks he's right. I've been in the industry 40 years and he thinks he knows better than me, who hasn't even picked up a tool at all. Now, to try and be kind to him is tough. Like I said, I think it takes a great strength of character to be kind to him when I'm surrounded by his inept. And it's tough because there's a conflicting issue because it could filter into another person's business. So it's very tough to manage and to take control of it instead of it taking control of you.
Yeah, well, that sounds like an entanglement.
It is.
Then you're really caught and possibly at some point you'll be compromised.
Well, it'd never be me compromised. It will be the other person that's being compromised. But I have to be careful until, like I will do, I will finish the contract and then it's finished. The whole relationship with that particular group of people will be done. There'll be no more because I saw them. And again, you put a little bit of pressure on them, you see who they really are.
Yeah, you do indeed. And right there is a tip on how you do survive in a dog-eat-dog world. You work out the rest of your time, your commitment, and then when you're finished, you say, dude, I'm out of here. You won't see me again.
I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm never going. And they always try and put a carrot in front of you. Oh, you'll never get any work again. I've got so much to offer you. And it's like, oh, have you really? Well, guess what, mate? You can stick it in your pipe.
Yeah, you can go.
I don't care how much you're putting in front of me. I do not want to have anything more to do with you. And when you start to wake up, that's a survival mechanism. Is right, cut your losses or even just cut relationships with that person and move on.
You've got to have integrity with yourself and you've got to know self-worth and you've got to know that tomorrow's going to be a brand new day.
Yes.
And if you allow past misdemeanors or incidents or accidents or upsets to follow you into that day, then you're responsible for it. So when I talk to people and I explain to people and I say, I understand your point of view, but it wasn't my problem. This is your problem, but I understand your problem. Now, do you understand my point of view and the problem that you've presented me?
And what sort of response you get when you've put that to them?
Well, it's like they realise. It's like I remember saying to you before.
They wouldn't like it.
No, but that's the thing. You've got to turn the mirror back onto them. Have a look at yourself. And that's how I'm dealing with the dog-eat-dog world. I'm going to turn it back on you. If it's not my problem, but you present me with the problem, I'm going to tell you it's a problem. It's not my problem.
Yeah, no, good on you, Lee.
It's your problem. But if I can help you with it, I will. This particular one, I couldn't. I refused to. And the whole reason is that I didn't want to put my reputation in his hands to exploit.
Yeah, and they will. They're ruthless.
100%.
This is something that I've had a lot of experience with because I'm a guy who doesn't naturally confront things. I have in the past too often just slided with the whatever. And every single time that I've done it, I've always ended up second rate or the one who's been...
You felt that way, though.
Yes,
yeah.
And I've been disadvantaged because it's like, oh, that's all right, it's whatever, it hasn't killed me and nobody's really shot me and, okay, I can walk away from it. But you get to a point in life where you've been bitten by the dogs in the dog-eat-dog world so often, you've got rabies, and you think, dude, I'm not going to let anybody bite me again because I'm just sick of it. And it's taken me a long time to get to that point. And I guess you could say, well, you need to have a bit of manly backbone to be able to stand up for yourself. And I guess you do, but sometimes it comes down to the nature of the beast. And not all of us are good at confrontation. We might have backbone in something else. We can carry responsibility. We've got a lot of patience. We can be relied upon. We're honest. We have integrity. But when it comes to the fight of the dog versus dog, that person who might be soft and good doesn't really do well in that fight. And the dogs that love eating the other dog, they know it and they feed on them. And if you walk away from them and say, I'm not going to do this, work with you anymore, they just go, all right, no worries, really. And then they look for somebody else.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened to me at school with bullies. And I thought, right, if you're going to bully me, I'm going to stand up to you. Even if I get the crap kicked out of me, you won't be coming at me again because I've already told you I'm not going to have it. Now, I've done that and it's worked okay for me thus far.
Yeah, now go back again to the thing at school.
The bully, yeah.
So
I decided to not take it and stand up against them because I know if I stand up against them and make it hard for them, they won't be picking on me again.
No, absolutely.
They'll go for another.
Yes.
Unfortunately, another person that will take it. And I've seen it and it's upsetting. This was school life. This is children. As 10, 11, a child. So that can bring into your workplace. And you've seen it. I've seen it. And I remember when I first started in the trade, I was talking to, in the UK, it's called a clerk of the works, different here in Australia. And I remember talking to him about something to do, I forget what it was. And he said to me, don't tell me to suck eggs, son. And I thought, wow, I'm asking him a question about a certain thing. And he thinks I'm telling him what to do. So the following day I left. I see ya, I'm gone. And that's the thing. And I remember telling you a story of what happened with the job. And I told him to stick the job where the sun doesn't shine. And I suddenly realised you can't work for somebody. You've got to work for yourself.
Yeah, that's very good. I wonder too, Lee, as we're talking, I'm thinking the environment that you grew up in was very different to mine. Now, I grew up in a small coastal town where the unspoken ethic of the town was that you had to be a good guy. You had to like everybody and you had to be a good guy so that everybody would like you. There was no real emphasis on being fighter to come out on top. Now, of course, you've always got people who silently play that game. They understand it. They look around and they know how to get the advantage, the number one spot or what the top spot or whatever. But that game wasn't apparent to me. And I wonder too if the culture or the environment that you grew up in shapes how you handle this situation. Even to the point, do you think that city people have more fight in them to stand up against the dogs trying to bite them than what the country people do or the small town people do?
I think so, sure. Because there's more of it and you face it every day. And there's always somebody that wants to grab as much as they can or steal, kill and destroy who you are for their gain. And I realised that I grew up, youngest of 8, on a council estate. And so there was massive big families around and they were all after something. Some were better off than others, but they were doing it not because they wanted to take something from you. They did it for survival. That's what they wanted. They wanted that so they could move forward, literally just push you down so they can stand on your back and then pivot from there to somewhere else. And they would do it through extortion, through fear, through manipulation at an early age.
Yeah, well, see, the key word there is survival. You would have to have been pretty in tune with what's going on around you to actually survive. Otherwise, you're going to be pushed and victimised.
Yeah, well, I was initially, as you would do, because there's bigger people. The competition out there is far more advanced and complicated than you can think. So I just steered clear from that and tried to make my own path. Again, you're going to run into these people. It's how you handle it. And I realised I knew when to pick my fights and then I knew when to turn and run. So that's what they say. You stand the fight or you turn and run.
So the naive, the romantic, the person who grows up in a sort of non-threatening environment where you don't have to be living on your wits to survive, they're always going to be easy fodder. And there's a line in one of Joni Mitchell's songs from the album Blue, a great album. I can't remember. Last time I saw Richard, I think the song is. And there's a line in there and Richard said, all romantics are the same. They all end up in some bar crying into their beer or wine, something like that. So the romantics, the soft, the naive, the end, think, oh my God, like I missed out on so much because it was really me who was giving in all the time. And I wasn't biting back when those dogs were attacking me. I'm not Jesus. I can't walk away and say, oh, I'm going to turn the other cheek. Sometimes you have got to fight back. And if you live in this ideal world where you believe everything's going to be great and you are Jesus or you're Gandhi or you're Mandela and you can just accept everything and be happy with that, you're going to have to put some backbone in yourself, boy, and you're going to have to stand up somewhere, even if it's later in life, at least have to get some self-respect in there so you can at least salvage something before you get to the end and you realise, mate, I've been kicked around the whole time. And who wants that?
Well, it's like the same with bullying at school, and you grow up and you get into conflict, get in fights, you win some, you lose some, but at least you still get up and carry on. Mm-hmm. But you just do it a different way. Now, I believe there's more good people in the world than there are bad. Now, whether the nice guy finishes last or not is another thing. If you can keep yourself tight, keep your circle tight, and keep your business affairs tight, then you'll move through pretty quick. But if you start to embrace others because either you feel sorry for them or, oh, no, I feel I need to help you out, then they spot that weakness and they're onto it. There's people out there that are very clever, very smart. Now, we have a mutual friend that we both know that was ripped off $400,000.
Yep.
Now, I thought, how did that happen? I thought, oh, it can't happen to him, but it has. And this is a problem.
Yeah, well, I would change that saying nice guys finish last. I would say naive people finish last. You can be nice, but you can have an equal bite in you as the nastiest dog that comes at you. And if you're a nice guy who wants to survive, you better learn how to bite back.
Well, Keith, I've known you 30 plus years and you're a real soft guy. And it's nice because you feel very comfortable around you because there is none of that in you. But I've been around guys that are aggressive. They're going to cause trouble. They want to inflict pain. And I just want to go, like, see ya, you're not for me. And I did that in my mid-20s and I left. I couldn't be around it anymore. It's too upsetting for the pain through other people. And what do you do? Do you walk away or do you do something about it? Do you allow these people to dictate and to upset and cause misery? What do you do, Keith?
Yeah, well, what do you do? That's a real big question. Mate, it was nice of you to say those things about me. Basically, when I'm in a situation and dogs are attacking me, I just cut out and go. I'm not a confrontational guy, but I won't take crap. And I do lose my temper, but yeah, I have to really push me to that point. And when I do, it's not nice.
I can't imagine you lose your temper, but it's like everything else. It's there.
Oh, shit, yeah, it's there, all right, and it's flared up a few times over the years. You haven't seen it, but there's been a couple of occasions, which I won't tell you about, was with a real estate agent, actually. And the person that I was with at the time stood back and went, holy hell, where did that come from? I was like, well, I'm sick of that guy. They're having a go at me. And he was doing it for too long. And so I just gave this guy a verbal spray and just walked away.
The thing for me is a passive-aggressive. I find them hard to deal with. I know they're not sincere.
Well, it depends. I like passive-aggressive because you can say something in a way that leaves the other person who is being a total dick to you very little ground for them to come back and have a swipe at you. Because what these people inevitably do is they like to fight on their turf. And that's a mistake. Never, ever get into an argument or a fight on somebody else's turf. Don't ever let them get the moral high ground or the upper hand. And they will try it. So when you're being passive-aggressive, you can choose in a non-confrontational way where the discussion, the argument, the fight is going to take place. And then you can own it. And then if you can keep your cool, you can say truths in that situation that just takes the wind right out of that person's sail or exposes them for the fraud that they are. So passive-aggressive is very, very aggressive, really, because it's hard to bat back.
And the aggressive ones, they never follow through. But then you get the calm ones that get the job done. And I've seen it happen so many times where my brother, I remember one time in the bank, we had to do some business there, and he came in aggressive, and the bank teller was going, well, no, we can't do that. Oh, well, leave it then. You're full of crap anyway, and walks off. And then my brother-in-law says, oh, no, hold on, Fez, I'll go sort it. And he went up there and he spoke clearly and politely and presented it to her in a manner that she could accept. And he got it done.
Yeah.
He didn't have the time or the inclination to see it through to the end, where my brother-in-law did.
Well, I love that illustration there. First of all, the aggressive one who just said, oh, you're full of crap, why don't you do this or that, unloaded his frustration and feeling and walked away without it being complete. Did not get what he wanted. Now, the naive would go, oh, yeah, okay, all right, I'll go somewhere else or I'll come back tomorrow. And they walk away and they don't get what they want either. But the third person who went up said, look, I'll go and sorted, spoke directly to the person, explained to them exactly what they wanted, and left the other person no choice but to respond, because that third person speaking directly was dictating the terms of where the transaction should take place. And that's what I mean. Choose the turf to stand on. Don't let the other person do it, because the moment they do it, they know they've got the upper hand. They'll push you around and they won't respect you, and they think they have got you where they want to be.
So what do you think, Keith? Do you think that there's less of it today, or it's the same, or there's more today?
I think it's probably the same. It's always been that. See, there's an old saying in life, there's nothing certain in life except death and taxes. That's true, but there's a third. There's conflict. There's three things that are certain in life: death, taxes, and conflict. And you can take conflict from the nations, empires, all the way down through the governments, all the way down to individuals, committees, local organisations, to partnerships, to the one-on-one. There'll always be conflict. So this is what we're talking about, surviving in a dog-eat-dog world.
It is, and it's a good one, and we could carry on, and before we know it, we're nearly over. So I know, it was good. I'm looking at the time, and I'm thinking, editing time for Lee. So, as always, Keith, I'll leave you the last one.
Lee, look, it's a pleasure to come in here, and geez, you've said a couple of nice things about me today, and I thank you for that. I'm feeling a little bit chuffed about it all. And, of course, to our dear listeners out there, thanks for tuning in once again, and we'll see you next time. So until then, like, subscribe, and tell your friends all about us. And until then, it's hooroo from me.
And it's goodbye from me.